Hi, my name's Arjuna Ardagh and I'm an awakening coach. I also train other people to be awakening coaches as well. I wanted to talk to you for a few minutes about a very specific application of awakening coaching, and in fact of coaching generally, which is perhaps the arena where everything lines up, where you hit the jackpot, where you've got 3 cherries in a row and you're feeling there's no more desire. Now you might think, because this is awakening coaching, you might think that that would be peak spiritual experiences, or you might think that it would be moments of tremendous love. But what I've noticed in all of my years of supporting people is that the peak moments, the moments when desire really abates, not in a spirit of giving up or resignation, but in a spirit of overflow, are moments of ecstatic creativity. And that's what I want to talk with you about here. How we can reach moments of ecstatic creativity and how we can sustain them in a way that they're not just fleeting, random collisions, but actually consciously intended flows of something usable and sustainable. So the first important thing that I want to speak to you about in this realm of creativity and the way that we coach creativity is the notion of through, not from. Any creative act, and I define creativity very widely, so creativity could mean an obvious thing like writing a song, painting a painting, directing a movie, but it could also be something more outside the usual definition of creativity. For example, developing a new product and bringing it to market is a creative act. Writing a speech is a creative act. Running a company, conceiving of a new company is a creative act. Equally as are raising a child is a creative act. Planting a garden and bringing it to harvest is a creative act. So let's examine for a minute the difference between through and from. From is what all of us do a lot. From means that out of these pre-established structures of belief, of style, of taste, of patterns of emotional reactivity, we create in the same way, I suppose, that a piece of software will create the same predictable outcome again and again. Or, if you'll excuse a rather overworn analogy, a cookie cutter. You know what that is? It's a little shape that cuts out a fir tree or a heart or something. A cookie cutter will always produce the same kind of shape. Now, it's possible to be creative in that way, which means creativity becomes formulaic, it becomes imitative. And you've seen this again and again, where somebody has a bright idea, and then we see it duplicated again and again and again until it becomes worn out and no longer has any surprise value. Somebody the other day was talking about beautiful pictures on Facebook, where you have, a really stunningly beautiful landscape, or could be a picture of an animal or something, and over the top, in just the right size of lettering, is a quote. Make this your best day ever, and it's signed by some famous person. So it's a formula. Beautiful landscape, memorable quote, famous person. Well, at some point, if you think about it, somebody must have done that for the first time on Facebook. It's probably hard to locate right now, but somebody had the bright idea, wow, let's take this great picture, put this great quote, put this person's name, and it went viral. It was spread virally on Facebook, way beyond that person's friends or even friends of friends, and then rush in the formulaic response. Other people then go, wow, that worked, That got that person a lot of likes, a lot of comments. I'll do the same. Until every beautiful picture has been used up. Every quote has been used 1,000 times. And every famous person has been milked dry of everything interesting they ever had to say. And then you notice what happens. You go to your Facebook wall and you kind of gloss over. However great the quotes are, you just gloss over because you just can't digest another beautiful scenery with another great quote. So that's an example of from rather than through. From means I've learned it, I've seen what works, and out of the cookie cutter I'm going to reproduce it. Unfortunately, a lot of what we call creativity ends up like that. Because we are, all of us, conditioned creatures. Conditioned with habits of how things are done. And so it's why a lot of so-called art is not very interesting, because you've seen something just like it already. Through is a little different. Through doesn't happen through looking at other people who've done interesting things. It happens almost through ignoring that. And I would say falling back into yourself. And when I say yourself, I don't mean your thoughts. I don't mean your body sensations. I don't mean your reactive feelings. I mean the one who is aware of all that, which you may have tasted already, is infinite, is mysterious, is undefined, doesn't really have any shape or form or color or texture or history. It's more of a mysterious presence than a thing. Through means that that wellspring of creativity has an opportunity to give itself through what you've called me. So me becomes like a channel for that to flow, rather than the source of what is flowing. Leonard Cohen, in my opinion, is an example of a channel which allows creativity to flow through. Almost everything he's done has this raw authenticity to it. Many years ago he was writing songs like Famous Blue Raincoat, depressing songs, but they were authentic. You never heard anything like it. Then he did Hallelujah, a cold and broken Hallelujah. Well, you've heard a lot of Hallelujahs before, but you've never heard something quite like that, with those kind of lyrics. Just listen to the words, a cold and broken Hallelujah. It shocks you. Those words don't usually belong together. And then, about 10 years ago, he created the album 10 New Songs, which is so shockingly original, so extraordinarily from the source, through the Leonard Cohen pipe, but where it's coming from is not a person. We could come up with a lot of other examples of people who have created in that way. I love to talk about American Beauty, the film, American Beauty, written by Alan Ball. Again, it's shockingly original. Nobody's made a film like that before. It's hard to put in any pigeonhole. Now, formulaic creativity is cultivated through studying traditions, studying methods, maybe apprenticing with somebody, and learning how to reproduce. From creativity, authentic creativity, is cultivated in a different way. And the reason I'm talking to you on this video about it is it's my favorite way to coach people. So I'm really hoping that somebody, or a few people watching this video, will feel the connection, because I just love to coach people in how to get out of the way and to allow the unique gift to flow through them. There are many tools and tricks that we can use to unblock the channel and to bring a creative impulse from an almost imperceptible vibration in consciousness all the way through to a finished novel, a screenplay, a work of art. One, I'll just rattle these off, a few random examples. One is developing the art of listening at that finest level. When you're in a condition that you might label as meditation, when you're feeling very expansive, learning how to listen at that finest level of yourself. Another little trick is playing with time, where you can travel through time in consciousness and meet yourself in the future and experience your own creative art, which has already been created. Well, of course, subjectively, you feel like you're moving into the future to experience creativity that is already fully formed. But of course, what's actually happening in the process of doing that is something is getting generated unconsciously in order for you to experience it. There are all sorts of other tricks to do with unblocking this flow. Sometimes it's simply a matter of how you get the content out of consciousness into something that can record it. So there are tricks with, I find, for example, sitting in front of a keyboard is pretty much a creativity killer. You know, sitting in front of your keyboard, now I'm going to create something interesting and great. Good luck. On the other hand, going for a walk where you're moving your body, where your whole body is active, and having a voice recorder with you, sometimes greatness will flow past the filters. You kind of trick yourself into allowing the channel to open and flow. Coaching creativity is absolutely my favorite thing, because it feels to me the shortest journey to actualizing yourself and to feeling the greatest fulfillment possible. States of meditation are a great rest from the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. Making love, feeling love, wonderful, beautiful. But when you allow an impulse to germinate within you, to give itself fully and to come into final incarnation, that is where I experience the greatest fulfillment as a coach. And it's also where I notice that people have the greatest fulfillment in their lives when something comes into fruition. It's where you have allowed something to be added to the collective consciousness through you. I believe that being creative, being a channel for creativity, is probably the most powerful spiritual discipline available to human beings. I love it. If you feel called upon to explore this further, if you feel there is an impulse wanting to give itself through you, rather like, before a woman becomes pregnant, often she will feel almost like somebody is calling to come in. It's like somebody's whispering in her dreams, in the twilight, as she, in the dawn as she wakes up. Some little voice is calling out for life, and then she becomes pregnant. In the same way, if you feel a creative impulse is calling upon you to become pregnant with it, then give me a shout. There's a form on our website, awakeningcoachingtraining.com, but also on arjunaardagh.com, where you can ask about receiving coaching. If you feel that this might resonate for you, give me a shout. I love more than anything to be a midwife to creative acts.